Good morning, afternoon, or night. I want you to relax your body. Let's get our minds right. The conversation I want to have today is about not taking unnecessary chances. And I was inspired to take this conversation into a different direction after hearing a great content creator that I'm subbed up to. His name is Roll Rich. His channel is Let's Talk About It. I'll put it in description after the video. But I was inspired to take this conversation into a different direction just because of the angle that he took on the recent school shooting that happened in Georgia. And I also wanted to give a personal backstory before I get into the main topic. And just hearing his perspective on what exactly happened and how he felt about the situation, it really hit home for me because one thing he said in there was the child's age. And it made me reflect on my life and not thinking that what the person did, but also think about the age and the mindset of that individual. So I don't want to cover the complete details of what happened as much as I want to cover the perspective because my channel is just about the added perspective that sometimes we may not think of before getting a complete viewpoint. It's about adding in all the things that we may not consider before passing judgment on a person. So, in my lifetime, this goes into the personal backstory. In my lifetime, me and my brother, we're a couple of years apart. So, you go to elementary school together, but he's a different age of me. So, there comes a point in time where he goes to middle school. I'm in elementary school. We don't stay that far away from each other or away from the school to home. And the middle school and the elementary school aren't far apart, but obviously we get out of school at different times. So my brother goes to middle school, very protective. He'll never let anything happen to me. I'm just this happy go lucky kid. My brother is my protector. I'm not having to defend myself. I'm not having to worry about anything because people know my brother. They're not going to mess with me because they know my brother. But there comes a time where, like I said, he goes to middle school. I'm in elementary school. Where I'm from, elementary school gets out before middle school, and we usually walk home. So I'm getting out of elementary school. I'm just gonna walk home by myself. I'm not gonna wait for my brother. So I'm walking home. I'm in fourth grade, mind you. I'm walking home, and things are normal. You're a kid. You know how to get home. Uh, I'm not thinking about anything. Not worried about anything. I'm just happy go lucky kid. I walk home. Stay maybe a mile and a half, maybe 2 miles from the school, just walk home. So it gets late in the school year. There's this one guy I know from the neighborhood. His name is Clarence. He's like one of those kids that'll skip school, uh, not doing anything, doesn't have any real supervision. So I'm walking home. There's nobody around. He normally skips school. So one day he decides in his mind, I'm just gonna mess with this kid. He's in sixth grade, mind you. I'm in fourth grade. He just decides in his mind, I'm gonna mess with this kid. He doesn't know my backstory. He doesn't know anything about me. He doesn't know my mindset. Nothing. Because most of the time people don't think that way. It's almost like a instant gratification feeling. I'm gonna mess with this kid because it makes me feel better. So it starts off with him just saying little stuff, uh, kind of picking on me or whatever. And I'm the type of kid where, even to this day, I'm the type of person where I learn to handle my own thing. Like no matter what's happening in my life, I have to handle it because my parents got divorced at an early age, and my mom's working two jobs. She's going to school. She doesn't. She's never told me this, but as a kid, I just picked up on it. She needs me and my brother to not be a burden on her. We can't add problems into my mom's life because she has a lot going on. So for her, it's like I need you guys to mature. I need you guys not to add any kind of deficit in my life. Just go to school. Don't talk back to the teacher. Don't get in trouble. Respect people and come home and don't destroy the house. Clean up. Do all the little things I need you to do. Mature so that I don't have to come home and do XYZ that's going to add into my day. So as a kid, I picked up on that. And I'm just like, I don't want to be a problem to my mom. I want her to be able to do whatever she's doing and me not get in any kind of trouble. So add that in. So back to the story, I'm walking home and he decides he's just gonna mess with me. So from there it goes from just saying little things, trying to see if I'm gonna react to it. I'm a kid, I'm kind of intimidated by an older person. So I'm just like, I'm gonna ignore it and keep walking. I'm gonna avoid this person, keep walking. And then one day he decides, you know what? I want to get physical with this kid because that's gonna make me feel better. So it starts off with a little pushing, trying to see if I'm gonna break, and I just keep walking. Like I try to avoid them. I try to avoid the confrontation, and I just keep walking. I ignore it and I keep going. So that's not enough for him. He wants a reaction out of me. He wants to see me cry. He wants to see me break. Whatever goes on in his head, this is what he wants. So one day he decides, all right, I'm gonna take your book bag off your back and I'm gonna throw it on the ground. And I try to avoid it and walk away. I just want to pick up my book bag. Please leave me alone. Let me just go home, man. So the next day he decides he's gonna do the same thing. And I'm just like, all right, well, no harm, no foul. Take off my book bag. I'm intimidated by this guy. Just take my book bag off and just let me pick my book bag up and go home. That's not enough for him. I go to pick up my book bag, he kicks it. I go to pick up my book bag, he kicks it until he's tired, until he feels like he has done enough to satisfy whatever whatever is in his mind to make him feel better. So that goes on for a couple of weeks. And in between that, as a kid, it's funny now, but as a kid, you kind of avoid that. So I'll take a long route. I'll try to cut through here, go through there, look out for the person, try to peek my head out and run home because I'm a kid, man. I'm intimidated by this. I don't tell my brother, I don't tell my mom, nothing like that because like I said, I don't want to feel like I'm a burden on anybody. I've always been the type of person who no matter what, I'm going to deal with it. I don't want anybody to feel bad for me. I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me. I don't want anybody to ever feel like, oh man, we need to help this guy. Never, never in my life. I've never felt that, which is a blessing and a curse, but that's me. I mean, that's all I can do is be me. So like I said, this goes on for a couple of weeks. And then one day I got home and I snapped. I mean, I really snapped. In my head, I was like, I'm not going to let this happen anymore. I don't care what the consequence is. I'm not going to let this happen anymore. I don't know what made me snap or what made me even hit that switch, but it did. It was like a feeling of hopelessness, a feeling of either I'm going to go or somebody else got to go. Because this can't be my life where I feel like somebody can intimidate me, somebody can make me feel a certain way, and I'm not going to do anything back to them. I distinctly remember it just snapping in my mind. And so I remember I got up in the middle of the night and I went to the kitchen and I got a knife and I put it in my book bag and I made up my mind. No matter what happens tomorrow, I'm never gonna feel like somebody has something over me or somebody's gonna intimidate me. It's never gonna happen again. So I wake up that morning, I go to school, uh, put the knife in my book bag, regular day. I get out of school, I go behind the tree right outside of my school. I put the knife in my right hand, I put it behind my back. I'm like, whatever happens today is gonna happen. But this ain't, I'm not living like this. And so I walk home, I don't see him. The next day, very same thing. I walk home, I don't see him. Distinctly, I remember that third day, I did the very same thing. And I'm walking home, and I'm walking home, and I remember there's these woods right after you pass by the middle school that I was going to attend. And I got to cross this field to get to my house. And I see him. He's leaning on a tree, smoking a cigarette. He's in sixth grade, mind you. Tells you what kind of character this person is. Smoking a cigarette. I stop about 10 yards from him and I'm just staring at him. And I'm just like, heart beating. I'm like, whatever happens today, whether this person hurts me or I hurt them, this ain't happening no more. And I remember he looked at me. I'm staring at him. He's staring at me. He's like, what are you looking at? What do you want? And I remember just pull the pull the knife from behind my back and I half closed my eyes and I was like, I'm gonna stab this dude. I'm prepared to kill this guy. And I remember seeing his eyes just get huge. And he starts backing up and eventually turns and runs. And he's like, what's wrong with you, man? What's wrong with you? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? And so, he's in sixth grade. He gets away. I'm in fourth grade. And it made me kind of almost feel bad for the guy and almost feel bad for myself because like my dad's a super Christian guy. So I have some of those morals instilled in me just from going to church with my dad when I do spend time with my dad, and I'm just feeling like, did I do something wrong? Because eventually the guy got away. He ran away, never bothered me again, and I'm just like, did I do something wrong here? Did I cross a line? And then all that went away because I just remember thinking to myself, that guy messed with me. I didn't start anything with him. And that justification made me into a monster. And it's almost sad to say that, but at the same time, I've come to grips with the type of person I am a long time ago. But it made me into a monster. I snapped that day. That day, I made up in my mind, like, no one is ever gonna mess with me. I refuse to have anybody have any kind of power over me. I refuse to have somebody intimidate me. I refuse to have any person have any kind of hold over me. More so men than women. So like especially a man. It's never gonna happen again. I snapped that day. I virtually snapped that day. Mentally, I was never the same. I had 4 attempted murders by the time I even hit high school. And lucky for me, I'm not gonna get into the backstory, but the neighborhood I grew up in, unfortunately or fortunately for a lot of people, people don't call the police. Something happens to you, you deal with it. But for me, I made up in my mind that, not even just making up in my, I justified anything I'm going to do to a person. They got to start with me first. I'm not going to be a bully. I'm not going to be a person who looks for trouble. But if trouble finds me, I'm going to hit it head on. And I learned to cope with that mentality because of that incident. I learned to cope with it by saying to myself, whether it's right or wrong, I just said to myself, I'm going to be an overly nice person. I want to take the unnecessary chances away from people. I want to be an overly nice person so that you don't have a reason to treat me a certain way, so that you don't have a reason to mess with me. And it's sad to say, but that's the way I justify anything I did to anybody after that. Again, it's sad to say that, but that's the way I justified it in my mind. Like, as long as you don't do anything to me, we're good. I'm going to be the nicest person in the world to you. Overly nice. To a detriment, I'm going to be nice to you. It was a deficiency in my character. It was a deficiency mentally for me, but I recognized that, I understood it, and I was okay with it. I'm a person who reflects everything that I see in that mirror by justifying it. Whether it's right or wrong, I justify it by my own logic, the same way a lot of people do. And just understanding my own backstory I wanted to bring up the conversation of why we don't take unnecessary chances and compare it to what happens in a lot of these incidents. Not saying that it's justified or who's right, who's wrong, or what exactly happens to make a person snap. Because if you do something, you do it. If I would have killed somebody, specifically, if I would have stabbed that guy in sixth grade, who was in sixth grade, and I'm in fourth grade, no matter how bad I want to justify it, no matter what I want to tell the judge, my parents, uh, my brother, the school, I have to take responsibility for that and accountability for that. If I would have killed that kid, some people would have felt bad. Some people would have had a level of sympathy for me. Some people wouldn't have. If it was a headline in the national news, fourth grade kid carries knife to school and stabs sixth grader, that's the headline they would have chose. And depending on the depending on the way the media portrays it or leans left, right, whatever may have you, I would have been a monster, or I would have been a child who was being bullied, or a child who had some kind of justification, or a child who needed a certain level of empathy. And I wanted to touch on the fact that why, as human beings, don't we think about the chances that we take? I'm going to do a part 2, 3, and 4 on this subject, but specifically, I want to talk about why, as human beings, we don't take unnecessary chances when it comes to the people that we deal with every day. Like, I operate on two planes. The first plane is my beliefs, what I think, what I believe, how I treat myself and others. And then the second plane, when I walk outside the house, I have the distinct understanding that I'm walking into other people's bubble. Everybody's not going to feel the same way I feel. Everybody's not going to see the world the way I do. And with that understanding, I'm going to treat everyone with respect. I'm not going to see someone and automatically just think to myself, let me pick on that guy today because it's going to make me feel better. Let me talk about this woman's looks because I just feel like it today. Let me treat this person terribly because I'm having a bad day. Because something happened at work today. Let me come home and take it out on my girl, on my kids. Let me take it out on the store clerk because I'm having a bad day. Or I don't have the job I want, so let me try to stop someone from having the job they want. Or my channel's not doing well, so I see other people who are doing well as far as views and having people in their chat who talk about people. Let me do what they do. Let me take the unnecessary chance of fucking with somebody who did nothing to you just because someone said it's okay. Because one guy told me that this person is bad, let me go talk shit about them. What did that person do to you? And also, do you understand in your mind that shit happens to people? Just because you don't see it doesn't mean anything. That person can snap. Just like I was in fourth grade and I snapped. And to this day, I can't get over that. I mentally never got over that. So when somebody does something to me or fucks with me for no reason, I don't see you per se. I see that kid that fucked with me for no reason. And I gotta get you. I want you off this earth. I gotta get you gone. That's the mentality I have, man. And people don't understand that. And it's not for them to understand. It's not for them to have any kind of sympathy or empathy for the mentality that I have and the shit I've done in my life. I had to cope with that. I had to get over that feeling somehow, some way. And I never did. I just learned to cope with it by being an overly nice person, which got me far in life. I mean, it really did. But also, I've done some shit in my life. That ain't for nobody's, to know. Ain't none of your business. I tell you what I want to tell you. But at the same time, I would want people to understand not just me, but the way people in the world operate. And things have happened to people that can make them snap. So you treating someone a certain way or you having a bad day and taking it out on somebody, you don't know what the other person has been through. You don't know the 5,000 pounds of dirt that's just hanging right there. And your little 1 grain of dirt that you just put on top of there is going to break that person. You have no idea. You have no clue. And people don't think like that, man. They really don't. They're stuck in their own little bubble. They think the way they want to think with no consideration for the other person. And then when that person snaps, you're left looking stupid. Like, what did I do? Oh man, you taking this too seriously. Some people don't play like that, man. I hear people say it all the time. Everybody's not playing the same game. You want to play this game, but everybody's not playing the same game you playing. Where I grew up, I seen all kinds of moral things and moral codes get broken. There are no morals in life. There's what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. And that line is so thin. It's so thin that people won't even consider it. They'll just be living their life every single day, not realizing that that line is paper thin. And one day somebody's going to reach through that thin paper line and grab you. We don't really have consideration for other people, their feelings, their backstory, or whatever may have you. We have no consideration for that. We're never thinking about how I've seen, and I'm guilty of it too. Like I said, I'm not a perfect person. I do fuck shit all the time. And luckily I'm a person who looks at himself and I don't lie to myself. That's one thing I don't do. If I'm having a piece of shit moment, I'm having a piece of shit moment. If I find something funny that other people don't find funny, I can look at myself and go, you know what? That's too far, bro. That's too far. You didn't. What are you doing? What are you doing, bro? Bring it on back. Bring it back home. That's too far. And I always ask myself, and it sounds repetitive and cliche, but treat others how you would want to be treated. And take it a step further. Have a good intention about yourself. Have a good intention about what you do. I'll say a joke to someone and it'll be in good intention. But if I get the inkling that this person isn't liking what I do and is making them feel a certain way, I have no problem pushing back. I have no problem reeling it in and apologizing to that person. You want to know why? Because I have good intentions behind it. I don't ever want to feel like I'm bullying somebody. I don't want to ever feel like I'm destroying anything because the goal in life is to build. And in the process, if you do destroy, rebuild. Don't take the unnecessary chance of being an asshole to somebody just because you feel like it, or just because you feel like you have some kind of power over them, or because somebody told you that this was okay. Have your own moral compass, have your own feeling, have your own thoughts, and don't let anybody, because they have a higher status than you, or you believe it, because I don't believe any one person is better than the other, with the exceptions, because there's some people with mental issues or physical deformities, deficiencies, whatever may have you. Outside of that norm, no one person is better than you. You only choose to be lesser in your mind. It's the only place where it happens. You mentally lower yourself for another person, and you mentally put them on a higher pedestal than you. And for me, I just can't do that. My mom and my dad, even though they were busy throughout life, they always made sure to instill in me and my brother, listen, you be a man. You two, y'all be yourselves. Create your own morals and hold yourself accountable for that. Me and my brother did a bunch of shit growing up. A bunch of stuff, man. Got involved in all kinds of shit we shouldn't have been involved in. But at no point in time was it me and him not having the accountability, not just going, you know what, I did that. That's what I chose to do. Here's the consequences. Man, we got to handle the consequences. It is what it is. And what that does for you when you take full accountability for your life and the choices you make, you start to create better choices for yourself in the future, because you understand that no matter what happens, you you are the person who's going to be held responsible for what you do. And I look around and I just see a lot of people just following, taking unnecessary chances to follow a person or a belief upheld by certain people because they have a so-called high status, or they want the gratitude that comes from the crowd, or they want the people to love them. But what happens when that accountability comes from you? That crowd isn't going to be there. Those people, they're not going to be there. The one, two, three, four, five people who have a higher status than you think you have, they're not going to be there to save you. Only you're going to be there. Only you are going to be held accountable for that. And that's what's missing in the world. People are taking the accountability away from others until it hits them. They want you to live off of government assistance. They want to give you this money. They want to give you these resources until you become dependent on them. And then when you become dependent on them, they're going to slowly take it away from you if you don't make the choice they want you to make. If you don't do what I want you to do, then I'm going to take these resources away. If you don't take this vaccine, then you can't go here. You can't go into this place. You can't have these free resources that I'm giving you if you don't do what I ask you to do. And that's a part of taking unnecessary chances. I got off subject just a little bit. I'm going to bring it back in and I'm going to end it with this. When you see someone, treat them as an individual. Try to understand them. Try to really look at it from their perspective. And that's always been my main goal. And that's going to be my main goal with this channel, is to encourage people, no matter how hard it is, to look at it from the other person's perspective. Not just yours. Try to think in 360 degrees. Try to look at things from as many angles as possible for yourself. Take away the unnecessary chances. Take away fucking with people just because somebody told you to. And then when that person snaps, now you're not thinking about what you did. You're only thinking about what that person did. It's an unnecessary chance to take to treat somebody like shit just because somebody told you to, or you feel like this will make me happy, or there's some kind of gratitude and me just wanting to be mean or me fucking with somebody for no reason. I mean, I've seen people dox people's kids and put them on the internet and put out people's address and all kinds of stuff. I'm like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Like, what is this, man? Which is why I don't want to participate in certain topics. I don't want to get on certain panels with people and talk. I realized that very early because I don't have the mentality to deal with that. Like, people may think it's a joke when I say certain things, or I may be in a certain chat and I'll say something. People be like, whatever. But I'm really that person, man. If you do something to me, I'm telling you, all that joking and stuff, it goes out the window. I don't care how much money I have. I don't care how well I'm doing in life. I don't care about my family. And that's not right. In no way, shape, or form is that right. But like I said, I wanted to tell that backstory because that is me. That's why I snapped. And I never got over it. And some people I'll put it like this. I am a walking stereotype when it comes to mental health and therapy and all this stuff. I don't believe in it, even though I see the benefits of it, all that stuff. I feel like it's a weakness for me if I ever did that. Because like I said, I just want to deal with everything I have on my plate myself. I've never felt the need for help. I've never asked anybody for help. Never asked my parents. I just wanted to deal with everything I had to deal with on my own. And I never got over that breaking point for me. And because I know I've never got over that breaking point, I understood, especially being in certain sectors, that there's things that people say and they don't realize it. And you doing that to me, I have to take that opportunity away from you. I have to take that unnecessary chance away from you because I know me. No matter how much people bluff and wolf and do all the talking that they do and all the rah rah, all the disrespect, all the incredibly just terrible shit people do, man, in a couple of sectors, I just know I'm not built for that. Could it be weakness? Could it be me not understanding the game that people play? Could it be that? Possibly. Maybe. Could be 100%. But I know I'm not built for that because I know me. I know what I'm not going to allow. Even though somebody will, not even just somebody, but the world may view it and go, man, did you see this is so ignorant what this guy did? Somebody said something to him, somebody did something to him online, and he just took it to a whole nother level, man. This is sad. What happened? Like, you don't even understand. You doing something to me, you just took an unnecessary chance. Win, lose, or draw. When you step outside of the world and you're walking around, there's billions of bubbles, and you're just stepping into another person's bubble every single day. And you don't even know the baggage, the mental shit that people go through, what's going on in their life. You have no idea. So, in closing, I know I rambled on a lot, but in closing, I just want to say from a person to person standpoint, let's treat each other better. Let's try to understand that people are dealing with their own hurt, their own love, their own traumas, their own mental blocks. We're all dealing with something. So try to think about the other person. Not saying that we should go around and tiptoe on eggshells and try not to hurt somebody's feelings or try to sugarcoat things, or we can't have fun, because I make a lot of jokes myself, but I'm also willing to joke about me. I'm willing to make fun of myself. I make fun of myself all the time. But if we do have that good intention, then we can also say something and genuinely apologize for it. We can also take the unnecessary chances away from each other by just being respectful. Just trying to see how we can understand the next person's perspective. I thank you for listening. I apologize. I rambled on for so long. I almost went into details about a couple of things that could have got me in trouble, but I caught myself and I pulled back. But I thank you for listening to me. This is the perspective. And again, it's all about understanding the world around us and also understanding the perspective of others. Uh, Again, I thank you for listening to me, and God bless. Have a great day.